That is the essence of our teaching, that to love the world, to know that the world will love us back. And so we say, welcome to the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living. Today is part 3 of our December series, Living as Wholeness. And our topic today is, in the name of wholeness, enriching the world. Thank you for being here with us in person, via Zoom, or if you're viewing on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, know that we love you and we appreciate you and we thank God for you. Now, every now and then I come across a little piece of humor that I like to use to set the stage for our talk this morning. So one Sunday, the minister had finished her sermon, and had stationed herself at the rear of the church to greet the people as they were leaving. And this very sweet elderly lady walked over to her and grasped her hand, and she said, "Reverend, that was a warm sermon." Later that afternoon, the minister was thinking about what the elderly woman's comment was, and so she looked up the definition of warm, which means not so hot. And so as I read this, I thought about experiences in my own life as I sit back and sort of do a mental recap of what my talk was about. I missed a few points here and there. And sometimes in our communities, our congregants will share their love by letting us know how the talk was that particular day, or they'll just be silent and smile. And sometimes I would say, I wish I was a fly on the wall and I could hear some of the conversations. I go, no, cancel. I don't want to hear those conversations. But in all honesty and in all seriousness, many people in our world today are saying not so hot to our churches, to our spiritual centers, and to our other places of spiritual gathering. What is missing and what people are longing for is something more than dutiful religious piety. They're seeking a deeper awareness and deeper possibilities to explore their spiritual practices. There's a yearning for deep, soulful experience to awaken the magnificence of God's potential within. In his book, The Soul's Religion, Thomas More writes, "To be spiritual is to be taken over by a mysterious divine compulsion to manifest some deep aspect of life's deepest force." And I take from this that what Moore is telling us is to recognize the sacredness in our lives and to let God be God in us. Finding God within us is a way to enrich and to encircle the world. It's a way of showing that if we love the world, the love will love us back. Author A. Helwa writes and speaks on Islam and spiritual development. In her book, Secrets of Divine Love, she writes this: "You are called to be a hand for the fallen, a crutch for the broken, a healing presence for the sick. You're called to step out of your comfort zone and into the valleys of the hopeless, like a lighthouse illuminating the dark corners of the earth." The teachings of Science of Mind call us to step out of our comfort zone. And our mission as spiritual beings is to be a welcoming, healing, and restorative center for wholeness. And that center is within each one of us. It is not just limited to a physical location of brick and mortar. We are that healing presence wherever we go. And we demonstrate that healing presence by healing our own false notions and misconceptions about ourselves. Healing those areas where we think that we are separate from God. When we become clear about our intent and our inherent wholeness, we contribute to the planet's healing by healing our false notions and misconceptions. The spiritual truth of wholeness is the foundation of our world and its residents. As citizens of this holy place, as midwives, if you will, we hold the world in the light of peace, prosperity, perfection, right action, and wholeness. We share this love intelligence with humankind's collective consciousness as we do the work of good in the world. Ernest Holmes wrote this in Living the Science of Mind. The discovery of God is personal. No one can find God for us. Each individual must do this for themselves. We cannot find God outside of the self because we cannot go outside of the self. There is no place where we begin and God leaves off. We can find God only within ourselves. To perceive the world as whole and to enrich the atmosphere of a shared life, we must first cultivate a sense of wholeness within ourselves. And this is the weekly message that we bring to you. It is part of our daily spiritual practice to remember that just as we are created in the image of this creative intelligence, and we are whole, perfect, and complete in its mind. And since there is no separation between us and God, we are always whole, perfect, and complete in the mind of God. And remembering that also is enhanced by this quote from Holmes in our Science of Mind textbook. What the world needs is a spiritual conviction followed by spiritual experience. And he goes on to say, I would rather see a student of this science prove its principle than have someone repeat all the words of wisdom that have ever been uttered. So it's not about talking the talk and regurgitating back. I was hesitant to use that word, but it was right there. We don't spout back the principles of the teachings of Science of Mind. That really doesn't resonate with people. The way we live our lives, the way we show up in the world is how we demonstrate the principles of our spiritual teachings. And this is not only true of Science of Mind, it is true of all faith traditions. The traditions, the creeds, the dogmas, the basic foundations of spiritual truths is evident by the way we show up in the world, not by the words we speak. Because a lot of times when we're speaking, whether it's scripture or spiritual passages or whatever it is, that's generally falling on deaf ears. It's like, okay, show me how this is working in your life. Our work, our service, and our relationships are carried out in spiritual certainty when we see our earth home as a whole. This is how we prove this principle that Holmes is talking about. And these are our spiritual principles. Our Centers for Spiritual Living Global Vision offers this as an example of how our work shows up in the world. We envision all people, all beings, and all life as expressions of God. We see a world in which every person is in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. We envision a world that works for everyone. And I like to add, right where they are. So we're creating this world that works for everyone, not requiring them to change and conform to our worldview, but acknowledging that right where they are, we can create a world that works for them in their particular place and create this unity of loving the world, knowing that the world will love us back. I have a story that for me shares an illustration of how the world works for everyone. This is a story about Ellen and her husband Chaz. Ellen and her husband Chaz were traveling from Tijuana to Los Angeles. They had gone to Mexico to pick up chemotherapy drugs for Chaz's metastarized colon cancer. Ellen had the medication in a plastic bag in her purse. There was 8 little bottles of white powder. So you can see the stage is already being set here. And this raised alarm bells at the border. Imagine that. So before they could cross back into the United States, they were taken into a large auditorium filled with X-ray machines and guards in uniforms. Both Chaz and I really panicked, Ellen recalled. I was afraid they would confiscate the drugs and not let us take them home. And then Chaz's chance of beating cancer would be gone. A border official inspected the bottles. It was enormous and really scary looking, Ellen said. The official reached into the plastic bag, took out the doctor's prescription order and studied it for a moment, then smiled and reached out for Chaz's hand and said, "My dad had cancer and he took chemotherapy drugs." And then he looked at Chaz more closely and said, "And he's still alive." After that, they were free to go. So you can imagine, Ellen and Chaz were in shock, and as soon as they got outside, they cried and hugged each other in relief. This big man was looking so frightening, but he was so gentle and kind, Ellen remembered. It was a lesson for us that you never know who a person really is just by the way they look. This story illustrates that Spirit is always working for us, and it is working through us as we follow its love, its guidance, and its wisdom. As spiritual practitioners of truth, our call is to realize the spiritual nature of the world and the persons who inhabit it. We see this life as God's perfect creation and to feel an omnipresent, loving essence in it. And I close with this quote again from A. Hilwa in Secrets of Divine Love. We come with the unique mission on earth. No matter what your calling, the world is depending on you. Existence is a puzzle. Without you in it, it would be incomplete. Now is the time for you to step into all that you can be. Last week, I introduced to us what I've identified as a 7-day personal challenge for us to use as our spiritual practice during the week. And so this week's challenge, if you choose to accept it, is throughout the day, affirm the goodness of life in all. Affirm the goodness of life by asking, what can I be and do to dissolve the feeling of separateness in my community? What can I be and do to dissolve the feeling of separateness in my community? I invite us now to say together our weekly affirmation. I celebrate the oneness of my journey on planet Earth by seeing the divine in all. Let us say that again. I celebrate the oneness of my journey on planet Earth by seeing the divine in all beings. And so join with me as we pray together and know this truth of wholeness and the oneness of all life, recognizing that there is a power and a presence for good in the universe, and that we all have access to it because we're all one with it. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is whole. It is perfect. It is complete. It is the life that I am living right here and right now. And as I affirm and accept and declare this truth for myself, I affirm it and accept it and declare it as the truth for all beings, for all people in all places at all times. each one an individualized expression of the divine. And so right here and right now, I speak my word of blessing for the entire planet, regardless of what is appearing in places where there is a seeming discord or dis-ease. I know that beneath that, underneath that, beyond it, above it, around it, as I look and see through it, I see the perfection of God. This is my call to show up in the world, to see the perfection of wholeness in all that there is, to enrich the planet, to encircle the planet with love, with peace and with harmony, and with deep, deep compassion. To extend my hand to those who may have fallen by the wayside. To extend the hand of lifting them up and saying, you are an expression of the beloved. You are an expression of the divine. I speak my word of blessing this morning for places where people are gathering in the name and nature of the one love and the one life. Recognizing that along this journey called life, our paths may intersect and they may be parallel, they may crisscross, they may twist and turn. However the road of life leads us, we're all on this journey back home, back to the awareness of there is only one life. I speak a word of healing and blessing this morning for those who are experiencing illness or a dis-ease, something that is taking away or distracting from their wholeness, recognizing that there's a healing that is going on, that is a healing that is taking place, and that healing is renewing and refreshing and restoring the soul to its rightful place on this journey called life. I speak a word of healing and blessing this morning for those who are experiencing the absence of a loved one, who has crossed over into the greater life experience, has dropped this bodysuit, and is now living in the spirit world, has joined the ancestors, is now part of that magnificent chorus that is with us, that is surrounding us, that is embracing us, that is lifting us up as we travel on this journey to wholeness, this journey to completeness. Knowing this to be the truth, I give thanks. I give thanks for the word that is spoken, knowing that my word is set a new cause in motion, and that it cannot and it will not return void. And so in gratitude for this and so much more, I release my word back into that law which always says yes, knowing that it's propelled into action by love. And so I just allow it to be so. And I invite you to affirm this with me as we say together, and so it is. And I take this opportunity to remind us, those of us who are here in the center and those who are viewing us on Zoom, on Facebook, if you're watching this, that we have practitioners and ministers that are available to pray with you and to pray for you. We invite you, those who are in the center, to fill out a prayer request and leave it in the prayer box, which is on our table here. For those of you who are viewing online, we have a prayer request form on our website that you may fill out and send in, and we will honor you and hold you in prayer. And also there are practitioners available if you would like for prayer after service. We have three practitioners in the center this morning, Connie, Denise, and Amber. And so reach out to either one of those if you would like prayer after service. And now is our opportunity to participate in the divine flow of circulation known as offering time. And so we have a statement of abundance. I invite us to say this together. I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. This prosperous experience is everything my abundance. And so we have on our screen I'm looking for something. Various ways that you can donate to the center. If you're here in the center, we have a donation box on our hospitality table in the middle that you may use. You may mail in your contributions. Yes, we still accept mail-in contributions. And our center's address is on the screen, 400 West Franklin Street in Monterey. You may text to give, and that number is on the screen. And you may also donate through our website, montereycsl.org. So thank you for that. I would like to thank everyone who participated in our Santa project, our Santa 2023 project. This year, through the auspices of Gift Inc., we supported 8 children to make Christmas a little bit happier for them. These are children who live in underserved areas. So we celebrated 4 boys and 4 girls. Gifts were picked up on last Monday. And for those of you who have not contributed, there is still an opportunity to do so. And if you're here in the center, there is a donation basket on the Santa Project table. And for those of you who are viewing online, you may contribute through our website. Go on to montereycsl.org, and on the drop-down menu, click on fundraising and then write in the memo Santa Project. This way those funds will be designated for that project and help us to offset those expenses. So we thank you for that. And this is a reminder, do we have the PowerPoint for the 4 pivots? Yeah. While they're finding it. The 4 Pivots is a book study. We have been reading this week, this month, from the 4 Pivots. It is a book by Dr. Sean Ginwright that our Centers for Spiritual Living organization has been using for perhaps over a year now. And because this is such a powerful work and the organization is so committed to it, we're offering it to our communities as a book study free of charge. The only cost is the shipping of the book. And the registration link is on our Facebook page, and it is also on our website. And the book study will be the first 5 Tuesdays, the 5 Tuesdays in January, starting January 2nd, and it will be at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Now, I understand that some of our congregants may have had some difficulty registering. I will be in contact with our home office tomorrow and see if we can resolve that so that everyone has an opportunity to participate. So I really encourage you to do that. Next Sunday, if you can believe this or not, is Christmas Eve. Where has the year gone? Where's the year gone? Christmas Eve. And because it is Christmas Eve, we will do our annual candlelight celebration here in the center as part of our morning celebration service. So we will not have an evening celebration on Christmas Eve. So we invite you to stay tuned for that. And then on the 5th Sunday is our potluck, and we have a guest speaker, Reverend D. Jacqueline Edwards, colleague and dear friend of mine from, we served together at the East Bay Church of Religious Science in Oakland, so I'm very excited to bring Reverend D. Jacqueline to you. And so we say good morning now to our Facebook and YouTube families, and we invite you to return next week as we look at part 4 of our series for the month, Living Wholeness. And the message is Embodying the Christ Consciousness, a Wholeness Prototype. So we say thank you and God bless you to our Facebook and YouTube communities.